It's good to employ people with disabilities because it's good for business. It's good to have a diverse workplace. There is a large percentage of people in Australia that have a disability. If you have people within your organisation that have disabilities, you'll understand that marketplace. People with disabilities buy goods, they buy services, and they buy all the sorts of things that other people buy. And so to have people within your organisation that understand the needs of this market, that is good for business.
I'm a very determined person, so I was willing to put myself out there and really, I guess, highlight what was an advantage of hiring a person with a vision impairment.
In terms of employing a person with a disability, you know that if someone's come through the training facilities and have got qualifications and they've done all of that with a disability, then the chances are that they're probably much more organised than their sighted peers because they've had to be.
People can actually study and work and do what they have to do. It's not always an easy ride, but the work gets done.
As an employer of someone with a disability, we have had a lot of successes. We've certainly found the workers to be very committed. We've invested in those workers in training, and they're providing good results for our business.
You need to look at how small modifications might be able to make that person with a disability on the same playing field as their sighted peer. And in this instance, it might be adaptive technology, modifications to the workplace which the government can assist to fund, can mean that person is as job ready as the next person.
I would say almost 100% of the time, if there's something that I require assistance with, there is a piece of technology to help me. So basically, employers would just need to be really open with, I guess, just realising that people with disabilities might need to do things a little bit differently to someone who doesn't have a disability.
This role is a big achievement to me because I'm now holding a national manager role and I've got staff, and that's something that I always wanted. In the back of my mind, that was a career goal I always had. So for me, this role is a big achievement. I'm legally blind, I've only got 5% vision myself. My manager is blind and his manager is blind, and my staff is about 50-50 blind and also sighted. So we work we've got the whole gamut in our department, but they're seriously outweighed by people with disabilities over people without disabilities, and it works really well. So I guess to employers, it's really important to not think that a person with a disability is not going to be able to manage staff, is not going to be able to balance the duties that of a role, because quite often they're the very people who have got very good time management, who have got very good relationship building skills because they've had to have those things.
If they can actively employ people with disabilities and be, I guess, open-minded about employing people with all sorts of abilities, I suppose, that would be a good opener for me.
I would say that not to judge everyone that has a disability that they can't fit into the role, to ask questions if they feel that this person may or may not suit the role, because in a lot of the cases the employees themselves may not be familiar with that disability.
You might say to a person, well, you may not be able to do it this way, but there might be another way around it. Because one thing that people with disabilities are good at is problem solving. I
think to make employment organisations attractive to people with a disability, the first step is attitude. If if we start with a can-do attitude to say that someone who is blind or has low vision or with any other disability can enter the workplace and be a contributing component to the workplace, that's the first step. The next is about having appropriate policies, having the right training for staff, and ensuring that where there is a barrier in a particular activity, that you take a flexible, can-do approach to try and resolve that.
That's part of my work, is looking to break down some of those systemic barriers. But the attitudinal ones, I guess, is a much harder thing to fight. Not insurmountable, and I think that attitudes are changing, but I guess when a manager is faced with CVs on their desk, they're looking to who they can exclude rather than, let's see if we can give this person with a disability a go. And I guess getting people to change that mindset is the biggest challenge.
A positive outlook to their future. They'd also have to offer me the scope to do things like having reading technology in the workplace, for example, and they'd also have to offer me the chance to show them what I could do.
I think there are many positive things about employing someone with a disability. I suppose in our experience we've found that people are often, once they get into employment, they're actually very loyal employees, and they actually want to contribute and want to be given an opportunity. So often we've found that our clients are very, very conscientious, and also to encourage the employer to have a go.
Quite often the employer maybe isn't aware of what it's like to have a disability or what a person with a disability is able to do. So I think it's really important when you take a person with a disability, their education and their work, and package that together and show what a person can do.
What people find is, as they employ people with disabilities, they're good workers, they are very loyal, they work hard and provide that value add to the business as far as having a good, diverse workplace, and people will generally, that employ people with disabilities, tend to look for other people with disabilities to employ.
In all the studies I've read about employers employing people with disabilities, it shows, you might think that a person might take more sick days, they actually take less. You might think this person is not as dedicated to the organisation, they're more dedicated. They'll tend to stay in the job longer, and that's really important when it comes to retraining, etc. They tend to be loyal to the company because they feel they've been provided this opportunity and they're grateful in a sense, but again want to give back. I think there's a whole host of positives to be gained by all parties.